driving into work one morning, and I have a background with special needs individuals. So I started a special needs program in the church that I grew up in. I worked with Autism Speaks very heavily and was their volunteer community ambassador for about 3 years. So I kind of coordinated all the volunteers for the state of Georgia, but I still wanted to get involved. And I heard an advertisement for Special Olympics, and you guys were looking for volunteers. So I listened, and then when I got my coffee and I got into work, and I was, it was one of those things that for whatever reason it stuck with me. And so I went and I visited the website and filled out all of the forms, and I thought, this could be a lot of fun. Like, I'll just give it a try. Maybe it's just a one-off event. I didn't know that I'd be volunteering for a decade and that it would become such a huge part of my life. But when I first volunteered, it was Winter Games, and I'll never forget, you guys had an arts and crafts table. And so I do art therapy with children on the autism spectrum. And you guys plugged me into the arts and crafts area. So I came into a new environment, but doing something that I still absolutely love. Like, I got to do all these arts and crafts with all, the people like in between things, with the families, with the athletes. And I knew at that point, like, I was home and I found exactly where I was going to be spending a lot of my free time. So I've been volunteering for the past decade. I started with those winter games and that arts and crafts table. And then I ended up doing, I think, summer games that year and fell in love with it. I did the opening ceremony. So it was so cool to see the torch run kind of come in and all the police officers and all of the energy. Um, and then after that, I think I got involved with the polar plunge. So I didn't actually dive in. I'm not built to dive in that icy cold water, but I did support it and love, everybody raising that money and the energy. That's like the coolest part about the events to me, is the energy and the community and how everybody cheers everybody on. And it's like you get to be this small piece of this really big, incredible puzzle.
Right.
It's an amazing community. So I volunteered with Polar Plunge. I've done Over the Edge. I raised over $4,000. I did it in 2014, 2015, and 2016. So did the fundraising. That was actually the first time that I've ever fundraised for anything, but it was easy because I believe so much in what you guys do. I love at Emory just to actually get to be that close to everybody and get everybody excited and to hear what they're excited about, like what they're going to compete in or are already competing in, and just really get to have that hands-on experience. So basically anywhere that I've been able to plug in and have an opportunity, I've been up for it. I have since learned how to score basketball, which is super fun. Who knew? I knew nothing about basketball going in, but that's kind of the cool part, is you don't have to know about things, like they
Right.
teach you. Everybody is so warm and so welcoming and so wonderful. I did gymnastics growing up. Was never anything serious, but it was definitely like a hobby and a passion and fun. And so I've actually scored the gymnastics and gone and gotten to see that, which is super fun. And then I've just been a cheerleader in the stands. Whenever there wasn't necessarily the right fit for me, it's just fun to be in the community, to support these incredible athletes, and to just be a part, like I said, in any way I can with your organization. My first year doing Over the Edge. I had never done anything like that before. Again, one of those things where I had no experience, but was super excited to give it a try. And what's really nice is your organization, like, once you raise the money, I had raised 1,600, I think, and $25. Is really like nurturing and kind, and explains obviously how you're going to go over the edge and what that process looks like. So I dressed up and trying to figure out like what you're going to go over the edge in a building in was a fun challenge. But they were explaining to me, and there's actually a video recording of it, how you go over the edge, like that process of putting yourself over the edge and not letting your feet get ahead of your bottom, basically.
Right.
And that's really important, because if they do, you face plant into the building. So as he was explaining to me to keep my feet, not ahead of my bottom or whatever, not to drop down, my feet dropped and I almost smacked like straight into the building. And so they remembered me the next 2 years that I came back. They were like, "Oh, you're Captain America. You're the girl that," and I said, "Yes, yes," because everybody kind of, it became this community. The same people do it every year. The same people
Right.
fundraise. The same people kind of guide you down the side of the building. And so I became Captain America, that girl that, almost face planted into the, I caught myself, thank goodness, but it was definitely a close call. So that one stands out. I think just in a memorable way, kind of
Right.
being outside of my comfort zone, trying something new. And then you just have to laugh at yourself at a certain point because you're like, oh my goodness, what are the chances? As far as athlete moments that stand out, I think my favorite was gymnastics, just being in an environment where like I had done that growing up, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously not to that level and not to that skill set. But to see these incredible athletes doing things, that I remember trying to do myself and
Mm-hmm.
just being so proud of them, knowing kind of what that feels like, looks like, all of that, having an understanding, not being that fish out of the water,
Right.
but being there. That probably was one of my favorites. And then, like I said, I really love being super close to everybody and getting to feed them and get them all set and just to hear their excitement, to share
Mm-hmm.
that joy with them about whatever event they're going to compete in, their friends, their teammates, their coaches, like they'll tell you stories. It's
Mm-hmm.
just so much fun. Like you give them a glass of sweet tea and then they have like this whole story for you. And I sit there and I smile and it's fun to build these friendships and to be able to check in at later dates and to see them again at another game and be like, oh, how did it go? Or how was your training? If they're trying to work on something,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of keeping up with everybody. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. I mean, is the short answer. I love the environment. I love the community. I love the athletes. I love everything about what you guys do, how supportive you are. The environment is safe for these individuals. You get to interact with the parents, you get to interact with the coaches, you get to interact with the athletes, and you get to be like a small piece of this really big, amazing puzzle. I there literally with my free time, there is nowhere else I would rather be. I love hearing their stories. I love knowing what they get excited about, what they're working on. I love when they accomplish something that they didn't know they could accomplish and you see that look like in their eyes or on their face after they like stick a landing in gymnastics or they make that goal or whatever in basketball, like whatever it is, just seeing them and them being so proud of themselves, like nothing makes my heart happier and nothing gives me, I think, more fulfillment or joy. And so it's something I'll do forever. And and you guys have taught me things over the years too, like I said, with basketball, learning to score and over the edge and how to rappel off a building. I'm like skills I never imagined having, but I'm grateful for. It's an environment that's taught me just as much as I feel like I've been able to give back myself. There's nowhere you couldn't plug me in and I wouldn't help at this point. Like nothing scares me. I know that everybody that volunteers with you is just as passionate to be there as you are. They're willing to teach you whatever you need to be taught to do the job for the day. I love you guys.
My name is Larry DeMello. I have participated with the Special Olympics Georgia for 20 years. I would like to donate a medal in honor Brittany de Petish, a state Georgia volunteer, to thank her and her dedication for Special Olympics Georgia athletes all over the years. Thank you for all you have doing by volunteering. Special Olympics Georgia.